Eric Bergstrom here with former UWGB great Kiefer Sykes. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
How's everything going so far with the Spurs?
Oh, it's going great, actually. It's a great learning opportunity more than anything. Just my first stint, my first time being around the NBA, period, and then being with a team like the Spurs that always compete at a championship level and always find themselves in the playoffs. It's just good to learn from coaches and players that, maybe in the Hall of Fame one day or that are part of a winning tradition.
Definitely. What's that like playing with some of the all-time greats like Tim Duncan and all those guys? It's probably, I'm sure you watched them growing up. That must be strange.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. The difference between age and me playing in college while I was one of the older guys on the team, being a senior, then coming to a team like this that's full of veterans. There's not many young guys on the team, and me being the youngest on the team is very different, but it gave me a chance to learn a lot. They've been around the NBA and they've seen different changes and different generations come in, so it's kind of actually just humbling to be around these type of guys.
What do you think is the biggest difference between the NBA and college basketball? Is it the speed or the size, or what is it?
I think more than anything is the margin of error on offense and defense. Even with the pace of the game increasing, you have to, be that much sharp on offense and defense every single possession. One thing that I've noticed is, you could be up 10, you could be up 20, and, it's still a lot of game left, it's still a lot of possession, so you have to be sharp. And then, like you said, with the length and the size and the speed of these guys, you can't really make mistakes closing out the wrong way with like your feet positioned or, closing out without your hand up, and, it's better players. So you got to be sharp at all times, or they're going to make shots, or they're going to make you pay once they get an advantage.
You grew up in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Are you a Cubs fan or a Sox fan?
I'm not really a huge baseball fan, but
okay.
I know you speaking upon the Cubs, and I'm just happy to see when Chicago teams do well. But I will say that I am a Packer fan from being up in Green Bay for those 4 years, and it's kind of fun being around here with the Spurs because of a couple Bears fans.
Oh, nice. I'm sure there's some Cowboy fans down there too, so, right?
Yeah, Cowboy fans, a couple Seahawks fans. So it's good to, I guess, finally say that I have a real football team that I'm a fan of.
What's high school basketball like in Chicago?
High school basketball is really tough. A lot of talented players. A lot of schools. Kind of the talent is spread out because a lot of public schools, and there's a lot of schools outside the Chicagoland area that have great players. I know my senior year it was about 50 of us that went to Division One colleges, high major.
Wow.
Mid majors and Division I AA. So it's a lot of talent. Guys like Anthony Davis came out of my year, Ryan Boatwright. So we had a lot of talent. I was ranked like 40. I was pretty low. So for me to even get this opportunity, where I guess someone in other states or in other cities, if they rank 40, they probably don't even get a Division I offer. So
that's right.
It was just good to be playing in Chicago, where you see talented players every day, and it makes you play that much harder and compete that much harder every day.
You went to Marshall, right?
Correct. Yeah, and Marshall has always had one of those college traditions, and it was a powerhouse school, so that was kind of one of the reasons I chose to go there to be a part of that tradition. And I knew that I would get great guidance, and they've had players that went to college, so I knew that in a sense that they would mold me into a player that I probably wanted to be, or to reach kind of the potential that I could be, and I could get a chance to play college basketball. So going to Marshall was definitely one of the better decisions I made.
When you were growing up, where'd you learn to play basketball? Was it on the playgrounds in Chicago? Because I know that's tough too. The competition there is tough as well.
Yeah, definitely. I learned on the playgrounds around my house, in my neighborhood. I kind of grew up in like a project neighborhood, so it was a lot of kids. It wasn't just a neighborhood where it was a couple houses on the block, but
right.
Being in an area where a lot of kids, we just would always go to the court, or when you were too young to get on the court with the older guys, you would just play basketball on the monkey bars, just try to shoot it through. It'll probably be like six holes in the monkey bars. You're just only way you could score if you shoot it in the middle three or something like that. So it was always, we always found ways to, play basketball, and I actually played all types of sports growing up. So I just learned from being outside the neighborhood and being with my brothers and under my father.
Oh, your father was big in helping you become the basketball player you are?
Yeah, most definitely. He actually ran a gym on the north side, the Broadway Armory. So growing up, I was involved in whatever sport it was during that season. And then as I got older, I kind of started to fall in love with football and basketball. But then when I got to high school at Marshall, it was just time to play basketball. And, put all my eggs in that one basket, because I knew if I wanted to go to college, I would have to really focus in. Like I said earlier, try to be one of the better players in the city.
When you were growing up, what NBA players did you look up to growing up?
I looked up really mainly to Allen Iverson.
Nice.
Allen Iverson is probably one of the guys that everybody grew up looking up to in my generation, just because of the way he changed the culture of the NBA, and then how he was, one of the greatest smaller guards. So it was hard, not to watch him growing up when you were one of the smaller guards. So you were a small point guard. But throughout high school, I watched Steve Nash a little bit. One of the guys that won MVP twice. And didn't really, finish at the basket, but he was just real crafty, real smart. So I just wanted to always be that floor general before I started, finishing at the basket really well. So I kind of just watched kind of the smaller guards.
You talk about finishing at the basket. You're really well known for your hops. Where's that come from? Your dad?
I think my family, my brother, we all played sports, so we just always were powerful. I guess it was just kind of like a gift from God, actually. God blessed me with the ability to jump really high, but in my family, we're very fast and we're explosive, so a little bit of both.
When did you realize that you might have a chance to make it to the NBA?
I think I realized that going into my junior year of college, playing around Alec Brown, who was getting a lot of exposure, and he played at the Adidas Nations camps, and me following him around and going to some of these camps with him, and playing alongside of him, it gave a lot of scouts a chance to look at my game, and they just gave me pointers where I can get better and how I could be a professional basketball player one day. So I guess going into my junior year is kind of when I had put the work in that summer, and I had seen a bunch of improvement in my game, and that's when I felt like I could compete with some of these guys that were in college that were going to the pros. So I feel like that I could have a chance.
You ended up at UWGB. How did you pick that school, or how did you end up there?
They were one of the schools that recruited me really hard. Actually, Chris Cornelius was recruiting one of my high school teammates my junior year of high school, and he was a senior, Alfonso McKinney, who played at Green Bay with me my last 2 seasons. And after he had committed to Eastern Illinois, Chris Cornelius got the job at Green Bay, and he just followed up the recruiting and, kept recruiting me because he had saw me when he would watch Alfonso McKinney when he would come to his games. So they wanted me really hard, and it was close to home, and I wanted to stay close to home because I had a son, and I kind of was always one of those family-oriented guys that grew up, like I said, around my older brothers, around my father, and around, just the environment of Chicago, where you got to stick together with your family if you want to, stay on the right path. So they kind of expressed those type of things to me, and I had interest in them, and I had just committed early before I even dive too much in the recruiting process, because the recruiting process is kind of like a whirlwind, heading from all those schools while trying to focus on finishing school and focusing on the basketball season.
I graduated from UWGB as well, and I also lived in Chicago for a while as well, so I know Green Bay is a lot different than Chicago, and UWGB, the campus, is way away from the city. How long did it take you to adjust to that?
It